Welcome to the Morning Track Power Hour. I am Dr. Andrew Scaff. He is Dr. Michael Worman, Esquire. On today's show, we'll talk a little bit about the NFL's Week 17 and the playoff picture leading into Week 18. We'll give our preview for that, as well as recapping our locks of the week for last week and then our new locks for next week. And we'll talk a little bit of the college football playoff, which will be happening this week. One game will be at least yesterday, or maybe all of the games will be completed by the time that anyone watches this. But we'll be talking about that as our preview anyway. We'll start this week again with the Kansas City Chiefs now not playing for anything except maybe a little bit better spot in the draft. Mike, the Chiefs dropped another game this week, 20-13 in Denver. It didn't look too bad. They didn't lose by a ton, so there's maybe a better game, better outcome than last year's game. But yeah, anything encouraging that you saw out of the Chiefs game from this last weekend?
Well, I guess the defense continued to play well, even though they were out. Their top two cornerbacks were out. McDuffie and Watson were both out. Christian Fulton actually had a good game. He had been a big free agent signing, it seemed like, but he hadn't gotten much playing time during the
Mm,
regular season. And then Noel Williams, the rookie, had played pretty well as well. Um, Chris Jones had a pretty good game, other than maybe a sort of costly penalty at one point, offsides penalty.
right.
But the defense played well. Um, they had the ball. They kept, Denver had the ball a lot, but they kept them, to 20 points. Um, Oladokun, looked capable at times, but the Chiefs' offense just looked pretty anemic most of the game. But it was only
That,
20-13, so it was a close game. Um,
that anemic offense has been sort of a trend for the whole season, though, right?
yeah, yeah.
It hasn't
So
just been Oladoka in that. Yeah,
Well, it's basically been, Mahomes can kind of cover up a lot of the problems and Olodokun can't. Um,
yeah,
so and you know Xavier Worthy had a not so great game. Had a costly step out of bounds, like he did last year a lot. It seemed like he didn't
right.
quite know what the sideline was at times. Um, yeah, it just wasn't, I
There's
guess
still
you
not
can
much
give
of a
it
running game, right?
not much of
Yeah,
the running game. They're playing still with their fifth and sixth tackles
right.
on the line, so that's hard to do. But they've been playing okay. At least protect, not like giving up sacks every other play or something like that. So, and that was against
Yeah.
Denver too, because Denver has got really good pass rush. So
Mhm.
uh, you would think that they would have just mobbed Oladokun, but that didn't really happen. So it wasn't a terrible game, but it wasn't a great game either. But it was not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. So I guess that's a plus.
Yeah.
But you
That's
never
that's
thought
all
the
we're
Chiefs
kind
were
of
gonna.
looking for at this point, though, right?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs had a chance to win it at the end, or at least tie it at the end. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody actually thought that was going to happen, but it was close enough to make a throw to the end zone at the end, the last play of the game. So
Yeah. Yeah, and Kelsey had a couple of good catches on
that's right. Yeah.
late in that drive too, right? So
Mhm.
yeah. So I mean, and I guess he may have talked a little bit about his possible retirement, but less as a given anyway, I think.
Mhm.
So it's maybe there's a chance he's gonna come back next year. What do you think about that? You think there's a chance of playing another year?
I'm not sure. Maybe if he thinks, I think he might not decide right away. Um, he
Yeah.
might want to see how Mahomes' rehab's going
Right
and
on.
and maybe what the off season is looking like. Maybe if he thinks that he can just kind of play. Um, with a team that's gonna go to the playoffs, maybe make a run. But if the Chiefs, it looks like it's gonna be a rebuilding year, maybe he's not gonna stick around and play because
Yeah,
because I don't think he'll play two more years after this. So
I wouldn't think so.
um, yeah, so I think this is probably I would say it might depend on what the Chiefs look like in the offseason.
Yeah, do you think if he decides to play, do you think he'll decide relatively early, So like he'll do a full camp with the team, or do you think he'll like do something where he kind of doesn't have to play, do the camps, and just kind of show up like during the season?
I think he'd do the training camp at least, the summer one.
Yeah,
I don't know if he'd do the mini camps and all that stuff, but
yeah,
he's I think it's I think a lot of it hinges on what they think the team's going to look like, what the draft comes, how that goes for them, how
yeah,
how close his rehab is looking. Is he going to be ready by early in maybe not week one, but early in the season, or do they pick up somebody like a good potential stopgap quarterback? I don't know if Minshew, because Minshew's out too, so he's not gonna be ready for the start of the season either. Probably, well, maybe he is. He didn't have a completely torn uh,
right,
ligament, but he's also didn't show that he was the had the ability to lead the team to wins either. So he kind of got this short end of the stick. But I don't know if they'll
yeah.
bring I don't know if they'll bring Minshew back or not. It's hard to say what they're going to do. I don't think Oladokun has played his way into the starting or into the stopgap backup category just
The
yet.
number two spot.
I think they're going to go
He's
for
probably capable number three, I suppose, right? Is how what we've seen from him so far, right?
yeah,
Something
yeah,
like that, which is what he is, right? Like currently, right now, right? So maybe not, yeah, claiming that higher role quite yet, but he's got one more game left, which we'll talk about later in the show, I guess, as a preview for next week.
yeah, yeah. So I guess you want to talk about our locks of the week. I think neither of us ended up picking as a lock the Chiefs.
I actually had a
You did pick the Chiefs. You
pick
didn't
in
pick
that
the
game,
Chiefs
yeah.
as lock of the week.
Picked
Okay, I
against the
was
Chiefs, yeah.
picked against the Chiefs. Yeah, I did as well on the big board, but I didn't on the lock. I didn't have a lock pick. So yeah, what was the spread was
Minus 13 and a half for Denver. And yeah, the Chiefs kept it close. It was only 20-13 loss. So only a 7 point loss. I think they needed to lose by another touchdown for the pick to be correct. But it's one of
yeah,
those that I'm like sort of happy to be wrong on because I would rather see the Chiefs play better than get blown out. But that was what happened last year
mhm,
in the similar situation without Mahomes. Denver like completely destroyed the Chiefs in that Week 18 game last year. So I was kind of envisioning another version of that, and that's thankfully not what happened. So, but a loss is still a loss. But the Chiefs played better, so that's I think some glimmer of
yeah,
positive anyway, as opposed to
yeah,
just all negative. Yes.
yeah. I think so too. I picked against the Chiefs in the big board. I did fortunately get luck out and get the under on that game because it was such a low scoring game. It was 36 and a half was the over under. It wasn't one
Right.
of my locks of the week, but yeah, the money, so I ended up winning a little bit of money uh on that part, but losing elsewhere and sort of breaking even because I did pick Denver on the money line. So on that game overall, I was close to breaking even. Uh but yeah, my locks of the week didn't go much better than yours. They actually went, I guess, the same
Yeah, they
as yours,
did.
for each one and two for our locks. I
Yeah.
guess we'll get our losses out of the way first, since you talked about a loss for the Chiefs,
Sure.
Denver game for you. I'll do another divisional matchup that I had. My first loss of the week was Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Pittsburgh needed to win this game to clinch a playoff spot. They lost that game. They were favored by 3 points, um, and they ended up losing 13-6. Actually, ended up that point margin. The spread actually went up 3.5 as it got closer to game time. So I got a pretty good number, but. Um, Pittsburgh lost outright 13-6. Never looking that close, never looking that good. The Browns didn't look that great either, but Browns do have a good defense that was able to stymie Pittsburgh's offense basically the whole game. So Rodgers, didn't do a whole lot either. So just a bad game plan, I guess, by the Steelers. Um, it was in Cleveland, so it's harder to win a road game than it is to win a home game, obviously. But you would, um, now it's up to this game against Baltimore next week to determine whether the Steelers can make the playoffs or not. The winner of that game will win the division at 9-8. Or I guess the Steelers can still be 10-7 if they win against Baltimore. So, but if they had gotten that 10th win last week, they wouldn't have to worry about playing Baltimore. They could have rested their starters,
Right.
could have done a whole lot. This game was, I guess, it's one of those things where maybe it's not good to count on a team that really needs it if the team is not that great. You
Yeah.
know, if they wouldn't be in that position, they would have already clinched the division had they been a better um, team earlier. But anyway, Pittsburgh lost by 7, favored by 3, so 10-point uh, miss on my part. How about your second? Unless you
And
do have any Pittsburgh,
well, Pittsburgh had no turnovers too in that game. It seems really shocking that they didn't manage to score any points, basically. The one touchdown,
yeah,
right? That's yeah, only one scoring drive the whole game seems crazy. Especially against, a team that's not that great. It seemed like a on paper a very easy pick though, Mike. I was surprised the line was that close even. So
yeah. Well,
that's
it spread. It got to 3.5, so I guess I was on the right side with
yeah,
the. Seemed like it was going on, but
yeah.
yeah, it's two. Yeah, just two field goals by the Steelers in the second quarter, and that was the only scoring. And then nobody scored except one field goal in the second half. So it was a nice under for me, but not a very good.
There was
Um,
one missed field goal, but it was mostly just a lot of punts.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like really just a weird game though. I don't know. Yeah, odd game, especially with an inconsistent quarterback room for Cleveland and Brewer Sanders wasn't all that great, but had a couple of interceptions, but high high completion percentage. But yeah, it's just an odd game. It was not expecting that result at all, especially that low of a scoring game. I guess that's how you know those upsets happen, right?
Yeah, yeah,
More likely in the gritty, close, low scoring games. But my second miss of the week, Mike, was an unfortunate one. I think for me that I missed by 1 point in the Jacksonville Indy game. I had Jacksonville at minus 6.5. Jacksonville ended up winning by 6. So the line between the time that we made our picks and we locked the odds for the big board, that line had drifted down to 5.5. So we were right on the big board when we made that pick, but not for my lock of the week, Mike. So I ended up
yeah. You got
losing
a
again
bad
by
number.
another by half a point. Yeah.
You got a bad number when you made the lock,
Yeah.
but yeah, close. Those guys in Vegas know how to make the lines on a lot of these games. They make it really. Uh,
Sometimes.
it seems like they get a lot of really close action a lot of the times. But yeah, that was a yeah. The Jaguars needed to win. They did win, but yeah, it was not a win by as many points as yeah maybe I would have guessed either, given the fact that the Colts are kind of in free fall with now starting Philip Rivers as quarterback. I do believe that what is his name? The
Riley Leonard.
Riley Leonard may start next week, the final week of the season
Mm, instead of
instead of
Rivers.
Philip Rivers, but I'm not sure if that's what's going to happen. But
Oh,
yes, so Colts losing again. They were once in line for the number one seed in the AFC playoffs, now are completely out of the playoffs. So tough break for the Colts.
no kidding. Yeah, that's pretty painful. Be that far out anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about your second loss of the week, Mike?
My second loss of the week was a pretty big one. Carolina they were 7.5 point underdogs at home against the Seattle Seahawks. They looked good at times, but they couldn't score. They had some untimely turnovers, and they ended up Seattle ended up pulling away in the second half, winning 27 to 10. It was 3-3 at halftime, so I was feeling pretty good then. But then Seattle um, played much better in the second half uh, than Carolina did. So Carolina didn't keep it close like I thought they would. I actually thought maybe they could even win that game outright because it might be a Seattle kind of looking past Carolina because they had to play the 49ers going forward. Um, and that could have been, again, it's a long trip for Seattle to go all the way to Carolina from Washington. So I thought maybe they'd be ripe for a possible upset, but turned out to be the Seattle really playing really well. Even Sam Darnold though didn't play particularly well. He only had 147 yards passing that game. That was actually almost triple though what Bryce Young had. He only had 54 passing yards.
Ooh.
It was mainly a rushing attack that the Seahawks had. Um, both those was Charbonnet leading the charge there, but there wasn't a lot of great quarterback play, even though we expected that more of that from Darnold. But they won fairly easily. They had I think the defensive touchdown as well. So um, um, maybe not a defensive. Did they have a defensive touchdown or something? I don't know. But yeah, they won 20. Yeah, easily 27 to 10. So no, yeah, they said three offensive touchdowns, two field goals. Um, but yeah, it was a game that looked tight early, but then they just cruised at the end. And it seems like the Seahawks have played actually better on the road this year than they have at home. Even they're 7-1 on the road, um, and they finished their season next week at San Francisco, so that'll be another road game for them against San Francisco team that is was the subject of my last pick, my first win of the week. Should I cover them and then go to your first lock of the week that actually worked? San
Sure.
Francisco actually played a really exciting game. I didn't get to see much of it against the Bears on Sunday Night Football. They won 42-38. They were favored by 3. They won by 4. So that was my lone lock of the week that actually cashed for me. So I'm feeling good about that. And so at least I was 1-2 on the season. Brock Purdy had a very good game against the Bears. He had a. Did you see that? Did you see his sort of Mahomesy touchdown pass that he made late in the game? I don't know if it was
Mm-mm.
he kind of was scrambling and kind of dodging some players and then threw a little pass to I think it was to Juszczyk that uh, got got them the victory. Yeah, Purdy had 303 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, one interception, but played a solid game otherwise. He actually also had 2 rushing touchdowns, did Brock Purdy, so 5 total touchdowns for Mr. Purdy that game. So that was another. I think he had 5 touchdowns passes last week, so he's had a good couple of weeks. He seems to be
Yeah.
recovering now from his turf toe injury, and really the 49ers, despite all those injuries that they had early this season, they're poised to become possibly the number one seed if they can beat Seattle at home on Sunday night, or I mean Saturday is it Saturday night? Uh,
That is the the Saturday night game. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Saturday night this week, Seattle, San Francisco. So, um, but yeah, so that they beat surprisingly frisky this year Chicago team with Caleb Williams leading the charge. He's been very good. Uh,
Did you know
and
how close you were to losing that game, though, Mike?
well, it was the last play of the game. They could have scored a touchdown, so they would have not only lost on the spread, it would have lost the money line. Uh,
Yeah, it was a first and goal from the two, but only 5 seconds left.
mhm.
Yeah, which they were unsuccessful, obviously. So, but man, that's close though. The whole, your bet coming down to just a single play, right?
Mhm.
Do you enjoy those the games that you've made bets on, having them come down to the single to a final play only? Do you
Well,
like
if
the
I win, I
excitement of that, or
enjoy
does
it.
it drive you nuts?
It's best not to pay attention as much to those games. If I'm really paying attention, it's not fun.
Yeah.
But if I just kind of wake up and see, that won, then I'm
Hey, I won.
happy. Yeah, I try to. If I watch the games, I like to, if I want to watch, I didn't end up watching that game last at night, so I just watched some of the highlights of it.
Yeah.
So, um,
Well, the Bears have won a ton of games late, and so they were poised to do it again, but
yeah,
they
yeah,
did not this time though. So yeah, so it was good for your pick then.
good for my pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about your win, your lock of the week that won, Dr. Scaff? What was it?
I picked one game that wasn't on paper a very good game anyway. It was in the New Orleans Tennessee game. I had New Orleans at -2.5, who had been on a roll. Started out first half terribly. They were down 20-0 at the half, but rallied and ended up winning 34-26. So good second half from Tyler Shuck, your favorite QB, I think, right now. Led them back to the victory. Yeah, 34-26, then by 8. So all I needed a field goal win. So it was plenty for my one win of the week, Mike. So we both ended up at 1-2. You've officially won the season series now against me in the locks of the week. So we still have 1 week to go, but we're not really playing for anything here either, though. So maybe, yeah, we'll have differing strategies this time, I think, but it doesn't really matter what the result is, I guess.
No, no, it's one of these. Yeah, it's just been a weird season. It's also kind of been a weird season in that there's not a lot of playoff positioning that's up for grabs. We have only two playoff spots in both conferences combined that are every other, 12 out of the 14 playoff teams have already clinched. There's some little jockeying for seeding and things like that, but it's uh, only two teams are that are haven't yet qualified. That's just for division champions. So it's Carolina against Tampa Bay, and it's Pittsburgh against Baltimore, and both of those teams actually play each other in the games this week. So it's kind of like already another kind of playoff game for them. So it's kind of interesting. The winner take all. Winner gets the division and then gets a home game in the playoffs. Um,
Loser is out.
the loser is out.
And
So
then
we'll see
we'll
how
have
that.
the number one seeds are decided by, at least uh, in the NFC, by a head-to-head matchup as well.
Yeah, that's the 49ers Seahawks matchup that we talked a little bit about already. Um, and yeah, the AFC still has three teams that can get the number one seed. Denver. If Denver wins, they get it. If New England wins and Denver loses, New England gets it. And if Jacksonville wins and New England and Denver both lose, then Jacksonville can still be the number one seed, which is probably unlikely, but I'm sure they're all three of those teams are going to be trying to play as if they can still get the number one seed, at least for a little uh, while. They have a lot to play for. So
Right.
again, that's the only team. That's the only one bye in each conference, number one seed. But in some cases, it looks like some of the wild card teams are kind of dangerous this year. It's possible in the AFC that the wild card number seven seed might end up with a 12-5 record, which would
Right.
be really good. But it's also possible that, um, yeah, so Buffalo right now is the current number seven. So that could be a tough matchup, you would think, for the number two. And maybe you wouldn't want to play either if you're number one, seeing Buffalo there with Josh Allen. But it's also
Yeah.
possible that it's the playoffs without Joe Burrow. It's going to be without Joe Burrow. It's going to be without Patrick Mahomes in the AFC. Possible to also be without Lamar Jackson. So you would say if you're Josh Allen, this is the time. Even if you're the number seven seed, this is the time you have to basically win the Super Bowl because when else are you going to not have to play those quarterbacks that have had you know regular season and postseason success um, on the AFC side? So it's maybe a referendum for Allen, I think, going forward. Now that I think the Bills have a situation kind of like the Chiefs. They don't have a great roster, other than they have a very good running back. That their wide receiver core isn't so great, but the defense is only kind of eh.
Right.
And basically, they rely on Allen to be Superman every week, just like the Chiefs have relied on Mahomes to be Superman. And Mahomes, at least until this year, was able to bring the Chiefs to playoff success, whereas Allen hasn't quite gotten to that level. So we'll see what happens there. But anything else happened last week that you want to talk about, or should we move on to college football?
Well, that Buffalo game on the weekend was pretty crazy too. Did you watch any of that against Philly? It was a close game. It only ended up being
Very
like
close
13
game.
to 12 on
Uh-huh.
Buffalo missing a couple of extra points.
And then they went for two at the end, and they missed that. So because
Right.
of the extra points,
So they went
and
for the win and did not get it. Then yeah,
it seemed like the whoever the was it Diggs who was open at the end was missed by Josh Allen.
I guess yeah.
And of course, I don't know if you heard about Stephon Diggs's legal troubles. Did you hear about those today?
No.
He has assault charges that were just put against him.
Oh, well, that's not
Uh,
great.
just today. Uh,
Hmm.
and I don't know if he's going to be playing this week or not.
Like
It's been
stemming from what happened in the last game, or just totally unrelated and stuff, or is it just like
unrelated and
from like a long
unrelated.
time ago or something? They're just
From
now.
I think a couple weeks ago, that the
Uh,
incident from a couple weeks ago, he was charged with strangling and assaulting a woman who he hired as a chef or something like that, and claiming she
wow.
did not pay. So we'll see what happens with that. But also, Trayvon Diggs, Stephon's brother, got released from the Cowboys the same day, so it was not a very good day for the Diggs family, and
I
when it
guess
comes
not.
to. But anyway, we'll see what happens with the legal status of Stephon. But probably, I would guess nothing would happen this week since nothing has been. There haven't been. There's just been charges. There haven't been any.
Yeah.
Um, nothing's been decided, so it could be completely frivolous. But it could be serious too. It's hard to say. Um, but yeah, that's something maybe the Buffalo has a maybe distraction right now. But fortunately for them, they're in the playoffs. Just remains to be seen what their seed will be. Um,
We should probably mention the big board results before we move on though, and then we can talk about
hmm.
college football. But we
Yeah,
we
we
had
can do
another losing week between us, I think, but
that.
uh
What's
not
new?
not as big of a disaster as some of the previous weeks had been. You did really well on the over unders as a whole. I think I did pretty well on the spreads and the money lines. I think I ended up winning by about. I only lost about $200, I think, and you lost around 900, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I won the over-unders this time. Well, actually won a little bit of money because there are a lot of unders. Ended up picking all unders as I usually do. But I did terribly on the spread and the money line. I actually was only 13 out of 32 picks correct on the spread and money line, so that's not good. Especially if you get under 500 on the money line, that will probably really eat up your dollars. I lost about 650 bucks on the money line. I picked a couple of upsets that did not come to fruition for me, including that Carolina Seattle game, which would have, if they had that game come through, I would have won a lot, would have almost made up for some of my other mistakes. But yeah, that didn't come close. And then also, I think there were some big upsets, but there were ones that like Atlanta over um, the Rams, but those didn't come through. That didn't come through for either of
Hmm.
us. We were unable to take advantage when we could. We were
Yeah.
also, yeah, because Minnesota beating Detroit was a big upset according to the money line as well. We missed that one. So uh, we missed.
Yeah,
We did.
neither of us were even probably considered that one, I don't think.
Yeah, you did get a one correct upset pick when that was Buffalo losing to Philadelphia. Philadelphia was plus 105, so just a very minor.
Yeah.
Um,
I had Houston as a plus 110 money line underdog. So those are basically like coin flips though, right?
yeah, oh yeah, there's Houston there too against the Chargers. You had that, yeah. So you won
But
210, 205. Yeah, you won a little bit of money on those.
that's basically the difference in our if those games went the other way, I think we you probably would have been basically even with me, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, on the season, I think we're separated by about $1,600. I think there's still a chance that you could catch me there, but I can't catch you on the locks of the week, though.
No. What's our record on the locks of the week right now?
You are 23, 27, and 1, minus $400. I'm 21 and 30,
Ooh,
minus $900.
I
So,
was hoping at least I could almost reach 500 on the locks of the week. Like I can't quite. I can be 26, 27, and one.
right.
Like I'm
Yeah,
$100 is the best I can do.
right.
But yeah, I am ahead of you for that. So I guess we're doing equally poorly.
No,
Uh,
I guess on the dollars, I guess they could catch you, right? If you went like 0 and 3 and I went 3 and 0, I guess I could on dollars I could catch you.
yeah,
Right? I'd be minus 600, you'd be minus 700.
so I guess you could catch me. Yeah,
I can catch you. It's that I wasn't thinking about because it actually can go down, not
yeah,
just it's not just counting wins, it's counting dollars. You can lose dollars
yeah.
in this moment, right? Yeah. So I guess I can technically catch you. Shoot.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll
But
we'll
it's unlikely. It'd
we'll
have to
see.
be like complete spread like flip, basically.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll discuss those in a few minutes after we discuss our locks of the week in a few minutes after we discuss college football. Um, there's not a ton that we discussed. We talked about what happened in last week in the games, and nothing's happened. So there's almost 2 weeks of a break between the round of 12 versus the quarterfinals. Now we have the quarterfinals, which are in the at the neutral sites, bowl stadiums. Um,
Right. More traditional bowl games, but it's
yeah,
not the end. They continue on.
yeah. Um, and we have 8 teams that are still uh, in. There were no upsets really. At least no teams that were no Cinderellas have advanced. Uh, the upsets were Miami over Texas A&M and technically Alabama over Oklahoma. Neither of those two would be really big upsets in terms of kind of name, brand, or quality. So
Yeah.
we have basically of the seeding, we have some surprises because we have Indiana's number one seed. I think Texas Tech was a bit of a surprise as well, being in at least from what people predicted at the beginning of the year. But Ole Miss maybe a little bit, but not too much. But yeah, so um, it's mostly chalk that we have.
Yeah. Yeah, the Mississippi Ole Miss, you didn't really know what they were going to do, since they have changed coaches between the regular season and the
Yeah,
postseason now. So
but
that
they
it
also
seems like they
played.
played pretty well.
They played Tulane. They also didn't. They didn't play one of the Power Five
Right.
conference schools. So it's hard to say. If had they played a better team rather than one of the group of I guess Power Four, a group of five now or whatever it is,
Yeah.
conference schools. If they had to play Miami instead of Tulane, would that have been a big a difference? Or
Yeah.
um,
But with the new coach, you think maybe well that's
you
good
think
for
it's a
them.
pos? You think it's a positive
They
because
got a
you
little bit
start,
of a tune up. So they have a
yeah,
little experience under the new coach to make sure that they work well together. But it seems like they really like the new guy, so
yeah.
they
You
sh-
like
but
you like him more than you like Lane Kiffin. You're not a Lane Kiffin fan.
I'm
Uh,
not no.
so let's talk about that Ole Miss Georgia game. Georgia is favored by 6.5. They're the home team. I picked Georgia as the favorite. You actually picked Ole Miss as the road favorite. So that was one of. So we'll see how. So Ole Miss plus 6.5. I picked Georgia minus 6.5. So we'll see. That's one of the places where we differed from this week. The other game where we had a difference was Indiana over Alabama. I picked Indiana to have win by on the spread. I picked all the the higher seeds, the home teams this week. Last year it was all lower seeds that won this round. I'm picking all chalk this year, so we'll see how that goes. But you picked Alabama plus 7. I did Indiana minus 7. We'll see what happens there.
One of them ends up being an upset though on the line anyway. That's home team Texas Tech, the lower number seed, is the underdog against Oregon. So
Yeah, and we both picked Texas Tech over Oregon. I don't know, maybe because we're both Big 12 homers. I picked Texas Tech
so
actually as my sleeper pick to win the whole thing. I believe Texas Tech, and then I did Indiana, and you had Ohio State and Ole Miss. So those are two, at least our two champions for each of us are still our money
right.
line winners are still in the hunt for both of us. So we'll see how that goes.
And
Last
last
week,
year wasn't it all the higher seeds ended up winning, right?
yeah, all
In
the
this
higher
round?
seeds ended up winning. Yeah, because Ohio State was I don't remember what their seed number was, but they were a 5 or 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I got them correct last year when I identified them as the best team, and they still might be the best team this year. You have them this year, so we'll see what happens with Ohio State.
Yeah.
They haven't looked quite as impressive this year as they did, I think, at times last year, but we'll see how that comes when it comes to playoff time because maybe they'll just turn it on in the playoffs like they did last year. Um, so we'll see what happens. Ohio State is favored by 9.5 points against Miami. We both picked Ohio State in that one. So, but we each only got one correct spread pick right last week or the week before when we picked the game. So, who knows? Hopefully this week will be better for at least one of us. Um,
Yeah, we made four picks. I think between us we're separated by about $3, $2.50, something like that, on the $400 that we would have spent on our picks. So the juice was a little heavier for you, I guess,
yeah.
on your side. But yeah. So I have like a $2.65 lead, Mike.
Ooh, very close. Anybody's game. Um,
We'll see if we can narrow that lead, but not take the lead, but from me, but just
yeah,
see if we can just narrow it and get even closer.
that would be really difficult to do that. We'll see how it comes out.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we have that to look forward to next week. There's not much Royals news going on, so we want to just go on to the week 18, the last regular season game of the NFL. It's always hard to pick the week 18 games because lots of teams are not playing for anything. Other teams already have their seeds locked into the playoffs, so they're resting their starters. Other teams might be trying to play for higher draft position. In that case, it means losing games. resting, so but usually the players don't want to lose games, so it's hard sometimes to tank in the NFL. The Chiefs are playing against the Raiders in Las Vegas. Chiefs are actually 5.5 point favorites against the Raiders. Was this one of your locks of the week, Dr. Scaff?
It's not. Yeah, no,
Not
not
this
this time.
week. Uh, what do you like the Chiefs to win this game? And if so, do you think they can cover? Because the Raiders are
Uh
maybe play for the number one. Uh,
yeah. Yeah, right now the Raiders are in the number one pick position, so it's puts them at risk anyway if they do win. I think they're vying with the Giants for that number one pick. So if the Raiders lose and the Raiders lose, then they're guaranteed the number one pick next year. So I think they'll be actively trying to lose. They did not play well at all last week, and they did sit Max Crosby too on defense, seemingly to make sure that their defense wasn't overplaying, right? Well, potentially. I think he does have an injury, but it sounded like he did not want to and was not
well,
happy about
yeah.
being benched last week,
Well,
even though it was
Geno
probably
Smith
better
is
for him
yeah,
and the team.
yeah. Geno Smith's not going to play. So it'll be Kenny Pickett most likely against Chris Oladokun. Um, maybe Max. I think Max Crosby, is he a free agent next year?
I think possibly.
Yeah, somebody like him would be a um, good player for the Chiefs, of course, to look at. Uh,
Yeah,
they need defensive end help, I think.
yeah.
They need a pass rusher, and Crosby and Mahomes have an interesting relationship with one another. So it'd be uh, I would think that would be an interesting possibility if he ended up jumping ship and going to the Chiefs. I
Um,
I could see that happening.
Mahomes would probably like that to not have to face him anymore, right?
Yeah, I don't know if there's yeah maybe there is a contract. Crosby signed a 3-year contract extension, so he got to be
Uh,
traded.
yeah, it's unlikely to happen within the division,
Yeah,
but maybe in a couple years on a free agent deal.
yeah.
Yeah, but the Chiefs are what I think nine in the ninth pick slot right now.
Ninth right now, so yeah, like
So
at
if they
least they're
win, they could move out of the top 10. If they lose, they could move up just a little bit, I think, but not too far.
yeah, they're still. I think not out. They're going to be out of the top five for sure, but they could maybe move up to 7 or 8, perhaps, depending
Yeah.
on what other
So like,
teams. But
I don't think it makes sense for the Chiefs to try to lose, but because I think, the Raiders are going to be actively trying to lose. At least their organization would prefer them
well,
to
it's
lose.
also do this. Well, it's also you wonder is Pete Carroll trying to keep his job? If
Yeah.
he 14, is that better than going 2-15? What do what's the? It's hard to say what the ideal thing to do would be for Carroll. I guess for the team, it would be lose so they can get the number one draft pick.
Hmm.
Also, might lose your coach doing something like that too. So it's hard to say. Or maybe Carroll's guaranteed another year to turn things around with a new quarterback. Um,
Yeah, he didn't really have a lot of choice probably in one year. It's hard to like completely change a team in a single year.
mhm.
Yeah, so it's like you'd hope that coaches get at least 2 seasons to try to figure it out. One year is the transition, and the second year is more of the referendum on the coach, right?
Yeah,
Than the players that were remaining under contract from the previous regime. So, you know, that's kind of what you'd hope. But the Raiders have a tendency to make changes maybe earlier than other teams would, though, as well, right?
yeah,
So who knows what they're going to do?
yeah. Who knows? But we're trying to predict what the teams are going to do in the other uh, games. This is again the Chiefs probably least well one of the least important games of the regular season um, in the last. in so many years. These last few games have been, again, the difference maybe between picking 12th and picking 8th is not a whole lot of
Generally not.
yeah.
But there's enough
But
questions there that I don't think either one of us liked that game as a lock of the week pick.
no, I decided for my locks of the week to try to pick games where both teams were playing for something. Um, and my first lock of the week, and I also ended up going with teams that disappointed me last week. Uh,
Oh,
and that I
offering a
was
second chance, huh?
second chance, yeah. So Pittsburgh was -3 against Cleveland and lost. Now they're +3.5 against Baltimore at home against Baltimore. The Steelers always play the Ravens well. It's also possible Lamar Jackson's back injury is not going to be healed well enough, so it might be Tyler Huntley at quarterback for the Ravens. It's so I don't know. I think +3.5, get the half point as well. So if it's a close game, even if the Steelers lose by a field goal, I'll still win on the spread bet. So I like the +3.5 there. So I'm going to go Pittsburgh +3.5 versus Baltimore.
I think Aaron Rodgers is playing for a handful of different performance bonuses also. So you think Pittsburgh is incentivized to try, for Rodgers to play well and, win the game, not just to get into the playoffs, but also for some of these like personal reasons then too.
Hmm.
So there's that. And then yeah. So like with the pick though, because they're +3.5, if Jackson doesn't play, you've got an even better chance at this too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got a
Well,
lot of things stacked in your favor for making a pick this early in the week, not knowing who's going to be playing, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's I got a number. I got a good number. Yeah, if Jackson's not going to play, I'm sure. Yeah, it probably will be maybe a pick 'em game or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes. How about your first? Well, so my first lock of the week is Pittsburgh +3.5 at home against Baltimore. What's your first lock of the week, Dr. Scaff?
So yeah, you're going with the teams that are playing for a positive thing. I'm going for my strategy is going to be about teams playing for a negative thing, like looking for a draft position for next season, but also playing against teams that have something to play for. So my first pick, I'm going with Buffalo -7 at home against the Jets. Buffalo is in the playoffs already, but the Jets are in a top five pick position and they want to remain there. So I think the Jets are going to be actively trying to lose. Buffalo may be actively trying to win because they want maybe can move up spot on their in the wild card. Think they can maybe go to the six, something like that. I think is maybe their high, but so maybe they have a little bit of incentive to win. Yeah, Buffalo's favored by 7. I think they can cover that, especially if the Jets are trying to lose. So Buffalo -7 is my first pick of the
Yeah, I
week.
think that's an okay pick. You don't know who's the quarterback's going to be for Miami. It's going to be cold. I mean, not Miami, excuse me, the Jets. I was
That's
thinking
yeah,
about. I was thinking. This is
yeah.
that was. Oh, that was. I was phoning ahead to my pick. I haven't
Thinking
picked them
ahead
up.
to your next one, yes.
Yeah, because I was thinking of New England rather than Buffalo, because Buffalo right now is going to be playing at New England. And again, that might be the place where you want to be if you're number 7. You might think, okay, we know the Patriots. We think we can beat the Patriots. We lost to them a couple times this year.
Yeah.
We don't think we'll lose 3 times in a row. Maybe being the number 7 seed isn't so bad. But yeah, the Jets, you don't know who the quarterback is going to be for the Jets either. Uh,
Nah.
so it could be just about anybody. Um, it seems like, and the Jets have been really bad, and it's not a big spread, but it's also possible the Bills might rest Josh Allen some, they might rest some of the other players, so you don't know how, maybe if they build up a big lead, they'll rest some players. So um, we also talked about the Stephon Diggs situation, so who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, the Jets are not a very good team, and you think the Bills probably will win comfortably, so I think that's not a bad pick.
Any chance that you could name either of the players who threw a pass last week for the Jets without looking?
Um, if it wasn't Justin Fields, I think it was. who was their quarterback? He was from like Mizzou or something, I think.
It is a Missouri quarterback, yeah.
I remember that. I can't remember his name though.
Brady Cook, apparently.
Brady Cook. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. There was another player that threw a pass last week, but it was their punter, Austin McNamara.
Okay. Yeah, they
If,
lost
if you
42.
if you came up with that one, I was going to be impressed. But
Yeah, they lost 42 to 10 against the Patriots in a game where the Patriots up 35 to 3 at half. So,
yeah, and I think the Patriots were without a lot of their starters even too. So
mhm.
for injury, I think they decided to rest a few people, maybe knowing that the Jets weren't like a top tier contender for winning even in that game. So I didn't expect that game to be that big of a blowout. But even though the
No.
Jets aren't very good,
Well, maybe since
surprising.
we're talking about the Patriots and talking about the Jets, maybe that'll tip I'll go to my lock of the week involving the Patriots. I'm talking Miami as well. I picked the Patriots at minus 10 and a half at home against Miami. The Patriots have to win to consider to get the number one seed. It's maybe unlikely because Denver is playing at the Chargers, and the Chargers already have a playoff spot, so maybe they're going to rest a lot of their players. But New England still wants the number one seed. Miami's going to be playing in the cold weather in Foxborough. Again, we don't really know who Miami's quarterback is going to be either. A little bit like the Jets, they don't do so well in the cold weather. Jets were just smoked by New England in last week's game. Drake May had 5 touchdown passes. He had a nearly perfect quarterback rating of 157. I think 158.3 is the perfect rating. He had a ESPN QBR of 99.8, which I believe is also nearly perfect out of 100. Drake May had probably his best game of the season against the Jets in New York, and now back at home against the Dolphins. I think well, it's one of those games. Maybe the Dolphins are trying to play for pride, but the Patriots are playing for again that number one seed. So they're favored by 10 and a half. If it were 9.5, I'd really like it. 10 and a half is not quite as good, but I still don't know what my other picks are going to be. So I decided to pick that as that was my, it's only the second lock of the week that we're talking about. But it was the third pick that I made. So Jets minus 10 and a half at home against the Miami Dolphins. I
It
mean, the
looks like
Patriots minus 10 and a half at home against the Miami Dolphins.
Quinn Ewers was the QB last week. That was the switch that was made.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like
Yes.
Miami's what coaching and staff is sort of playing for their careers
Hmm.
in Miami, I suppose, right? But I don't know if that's enough to beat a Miami to beat a New England team that's playing pretty well, even if they're stretched a little thin.
Yeah.
So yeah, Quinn Ewers though, right? He was the Texas
Texas quarterback
QB.
last year. Yeah. Who has
Yeah.
Arch Banning was behind. So we'll see what happens with that. How about your next lock of the week?
My second pick is another one of those teams vying for the number one seed. Jacksonville is playing in the early game on Sunday at noon. So they need a win to stay in that hunt for the number one seed with New England and uh, who's the other team? New England and who's vying for the one seed?
Jacksonville.
No, besides Jacksonville.
Jackson, Denver. Denver is going to be the
And
number.
Denver, yes, Denver, yeah. Denver and New England are playing at the same time at the
Mhm.
3:30 game. So Jacksonville's in the early game. They need to win early to stay in that hunt, and they're playing against Tennessee, who is vying for a top five pick, maybe even no, just outside the number one. At least they can get the two or three pick. So they're probably looking to lose. Jacksonville looking to win and make it not and win comfortably. They are favored by 12 and a half points. So I'm going to take Jacksonville minus 12 and a half at home against Tennessee. My
So some
second
big
pick.
spreads. Yeah. That we both pick on our last picks of the week. Jacksonville's got to win, and they're also playing it before uh, the Patriots and the Broncos are,
So,
so they aren't going to be scoreboard watching and kind of give up their. I think they'll play their starters through the game, and
yeah.
hopefully they'll see that will lead them to a big victory. They'll coast to the end, and then just kind of sit and hope for big upsets in the late afternoon window. But yeah, I don't think that's a bad pick at all. But yeah, we'll see. It's a big spread, so we'll see what happens. Um, we have for my third lock of the week, I'm going back to Carolina, who I've had good success with this year, but not last week when they didn't come through against Seattle. Carolina is at Tampa Bay. Whoever wins that game is going to win the NFC South, become the number 4 seed in the NFC playoffs. Tampa Bay's lost four games in a row. Carolina is 8-8. Tampa Bay 7-9. Carolina is 2.5 point underdogs at Tampa. It's going to be a coin flip game. I think Carolina can win. Um, so I'm picking Carolina. If it were three, 3.5. I'd really like Carolina in that game. But of course, they're not getting that number. But I still think Carolina can win outright against Tampa. And Tampa needs that game just as much as Carolina does, but you don't really want to count on either of those teams the way they've been playing. So I think Carolina bounces back a little better than Tampa bounces back after their losses. So I'm going to pick Carolina not only on the money line, I mean on the spread, but also on the money line when I do the big board. So I'm going to pick Carolina plus 2.5 at Tampa.
For the lock, they can still not make the playoffs, and you can still win your pick though.
I still can, yes.
Even better, being on the negative side. Is that why you prefer Carolina over Tampa on the pick then? Because you get points.
Yeah, I guess I get a couple points. It could be a smaller margin victory than just a field goal. And so might as well take those little bit few points. But I also think if there's a pick that close, you might as well pick them on the money line as well. If you think it's going to be that close. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why not?
why not? What about your final lock of the week and final lock of the regular season, Dr. Scott?
Yeah, yeah. I'm going again with a team that's vying for a top five pick. Outside chance at a number one pick overall. The New York Giants are at home against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas has a pretty explosive offense. If they're playing any of their starters at all, then they're going to be, not wanting to lose the Giants, and the Giants are probably wanting to lose so that they can have a shot at the number one pick next year. So, uh, for the last pick of the regular season, Dallas minus 3.5 at the New York Giants. Like, garbage game.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad pick. Dallas could score a lot of points. The Giants have been really up and down, mostly down with Jackson Dart as quarterback. But um, I think Giants have some things to look forward to next year. But yeah, Dallas. Yeah, I think they're still playing at a high level offensively. Defensively, maybe not so much, but um, yeah, I actually like that pick too. Dallas to win against the Giants in the Meadowlands or in MetLife Stadium at the
Yeah.
Meadowlands. Um, uh, yeah, so we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, I think that's a solid money line pick, which of course means that solid spread pick, which of course means that our picks are going to be terrible since we always like our picks. They seem to make sense, but this year has not made a whole lot of sense. In week 18, I think is less predictable than a lot of the other weeks. Maybe less predictable even than week one is. You really have to find your spots to look for and yeah. So we'll see. We'll try to make sense on the big board what will happen, but I think we'll have maybe a bloodbath on the big board um, this week. So even though we would like to get close to redeeming ourselves and coming back and winning money, I'm not sure that's going to happen this week, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Um,
Yeah, because we never know who's gonna decide to sit, who might get benched.
Mhm.
At any time the team could just decide, I was like, oh, well, we can sit all the rest of the starters, and then a game that was a big blowout gets close late too, right? So a lot of that can happen. Anything can happen in these weeks. Week 18. Yeah.
Week 18.
Yeah, it might be worse than week one actually for being predictable. Yeah, how did we do last year in week 18? Do you have any recollection?
I think we did really badly last year, week 18.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah. We were both down close to $1,000 each
Okay.
after both being up in week 17. So
Okay.
yeah. So does that change how you're gonna pick on the big board then, knowing that it can be a bloodbath?
Not really, because whatever I'm sure my instincts when they're wrong, the opposite isn't necessarily right. I don't think I can Costanza this. I think I usually will, second guess myself and miss it no matter what I pick. I'm more of a fatalist, I think, than just
So
it's gonna be wrong no matter what I pick. So, which outcome would I be happier with? I guess being wrong on. I'm not sure. Maybe that's the way I should go. Uh,
any games you're excited about this weekend besides what we've already talked about?
I think the main one that we haven't talked about is the Seattle at San Francisco matchup to determine possibly the number one seed on Saturday night. So we talked a little bit about that earlier, but that's really the one that's I think sticking out. We talked Baltimore, Pittsburgh, that I bet on, and Carolina, Tampa. Those are the other two games where both teams are the winner is going to be in the playoffs and the loser is going to be out. Um,
So those are the
and
two Saturday games and the late Sunday game. There's no
Sunday
Monday night
game.
game this week. Yeah.
Yeah, so the two Saturday games and the Sunday night game are the three most important games probably, and then the other ones are just either seeding or irrelevant in terms of just draft position.
Yeah.
So so this big Sunday slate, but maybe the Sunday games aren't terribly relevant in a lot of cases. But well, it'll be fun to watch either way. It's always fun to watch NFL football. We'll see the way the season shakes out. It's going to be a season without the Chiefs in the playoffs for the first time in a decade. So it'll be interesting to look at the playoffs going forward without having the Chiefs in them to see who are we going to bet on uh, going forward to win these games. So that will be interesting next week. Um, so we have that to look forward to. Week 19 or week one of the playoffs wild card weekend will be next week, and we'll recap week 18 uh, next week as well in the Warren Trick Power Hour, which may be a power hour where we're in the same place. It hasn't quite fully been determined yet, but it may be a special power hour where I am not in Maryland or far away, and we may be in the same state or at least close to one another.
Possibly. And with that, I don't think that's ever happened before, or we've been in the same city when recording.
No, not yet. Um, so we have that to look forward to. We have all of our picks to look forward to. See how those turn out. Our locks of the week. See if we can get inch closer to not losing as much money as we over the course of the season as we are right now. So we'll try our darndest to
Stop the bleeding, maybe something like that.
yeah, make things look a little respectable, uh, and make those who are picking just against us um, do a little worse maybe than they would have done
Yeah.
otherwise.
There we go.
Yeah. Um, but time to wrap up this week's episode, I believe. It's been a shorter episode than sometimes. I don't have a lot of pop cultural stuff to talk about this week, so we'll just save that to next time, or at least just talk about the playoffs next time. If we have college football playoffs to discuss, we have NFL playoffs to discuss next week. With possible other news if it comes rolling in, we'll also talk about. But until next time. I am Dr. Michael Werman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the Warning Track Power Hour. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, available on YouTube, and or our podcast. Please like and or subscribe to our podcast, which is available on many different podcast delivery platforms, including the one you're likely using right now if you're listening to us on a podcast. Um, we we thank you for your listenership, your viewership, your patronage. We also wish you the best of luck this weekend when you're making your bets, as long as your interests do not conflict with ours. And so until next time, next week, when we talk about week 18 in the river mirror and the wild card weekend in the windshield, I guess, through the windshield.
Sure.
Um, that'll we'll be back next week doing all that stuff, talking about the college football Final Four and the wild card NFL playoffs and our predictions. Maybe even we'll have an early Super Bowl prediction perhaps as well. We could do that if we like. Um, because I think previous years we would just pick the Chiefs as the Super Bowl winner because we're uh, homers, and now we can't pick the Chiefs, even the most homery of us who still wouldn't pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. We aren't quite like the super fans of the Bears, who
Right.
they probably still would have picked the Bears to win the Super Bowl, even if they were out of the playoffs.
I was gonna say one of us may still try. We don't know yet.
Yeah, Dick could find a way, they would say, uh, even if the Bears were out of the playoffs. But now the Bears are in the playoffs, so we'll see if either one of us picks Chicago to go all the way this year. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not. We'll see.
Hmm.
But until next time, uh, Andrew and I, we wish you a good day.